Welcome to the Get Real Movies podcast. My name is Daniel Chadwick Shubat. I am your host, and this is episode 24, where we will be talking about the newish release, Warfare. As always, I'm joined by the dashingly handsome co-host of mine, that is Mason. How are you, sir?
As always, he says. As always, I hear. But remind me, Daniel, who was on your last episode? I remember it being a distinctly not Mason character. Anyway, yes, I'm good. Thank you for asking, though.
Yes, that was Mike from the Trilogy in Theory podcast, and we had a lot of positive feedback on that episode, so you better watch yourself and be a little nicer now, Mason, otherwise you might have a replacement as the permanent co-host.
Indeed. Surprisingly, you guys did say very nice things about me, which I appreciated, but also it was a good episode, I will admit, but I hate that it was somebody else besides me. Anyway, good to be here.
I missed you, though. I missed you, and that's why you're back, as always. You are my main co-host and my main squeeze, and Mike is my side chick, you know?
Oh, yeah, okay, so I'm your wife and he's your mistress. I get it now.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
When I thought I was out, you bring me back in.
Yeah, there you go. Lots of good compliments. But Mason, I'm very excited to chat to you about this film that is depicting America in all its wonderfulness.
Yes.
That is Warfare. But before we get into that, as always, I'd love to know a little bit about what you've been watching. What can you recommend to the wonderful listeners of ours?
Well, thank you for asking. I have been diving headfirst and trying to finish the latest TV show from the Star Wars universe, Andor, which is pretty much, in my opinion, the best thing on TV right now. It just finished. Jeez Louise. Even if you're not a sci-fi person or a Star Wars person, I mean, this show just knocks every single ball out of the park. If we want to talk actual movies, though I am very excited for the release of Mission Impossible this weekend. I had a moment of weakness, we will call it, and went to go see the Minecraft movie. It's exactly what it sounds like on the cover. It's fun, it's ridiculous, but, if you got kids, give it a shout, and if you're drunk one day at a movie theater, why not? You have anything better to do if you're drunk at a movie theater? Probably not. Go check it out.
I'm probably not going to watch it, even though you recommended it. But to the people who have kids, sure, go check it out. Or if you want to waste some time on a Saturday afternoon for a matinee, I guess go for it. But before I go into the movies that I'm recommending it, and first of all, I just want to say Andor. I'm 3 episodes into season 2. I wholeheartedly agree. It's probably the best thing that Star Wars has offered since the original trilogy. It's just phenomenal, and I loved Rogue One. I think it was the last good Star Wars movie that we've had out there, so I think this show is just wonderful. So I'd just like to say Mason is completely right.
Yay. I'm going to ruin that by saying I'm a controversial Last Jedi stan, but I will take the compliment for what it is.
We've already had this conversation, and I don't want to do it again, so
okay,
let's move on swiftly here. Yes, I know you like it, Mason. It's okay. I had a proud brother moment this evening. My brother asked me what he should watch out of 2 movies, and I'm not going to mention the second movie because that would make me a little bit less of a proud brother, but he asked if he should watch Whiplash, and I recommended it highly, and he's currently watching it. So a very proud brother moment for me, and if people haven't seen that film, I highly recommend it. It's Damien Chazelle's debut. I still think it's one of his best films. I love all his other films as well, but I think that Whiplash just really takes the cake. So I definitely highly recommend that. The other movie I do want to recommend quickly is I actually had the director on the podcast, one of our last episodes, and that was Sharp Corner. That is my favorite film of the year so far. It is so quirky, unique. It's a wonderful psychological thriller. So if it's in a theater near you, it's in very limited theaters, watch it. And if it's on VOD, please check it out, because it's such a great watch, and Ben Foster is just magnificent. And if you get a chance, listen to one of our last episodes with the director, Jason Buxton. But the next movie I want to recommend, and we're actually going to take a quick cut before I talk about it because I got to interview one of its stars, and that is Fight or Flight. So here is my little tiny interview with Katee Sackhoff. Hi, Katee. My name's Daniel. I run the Get Real Movies podcast. Thanks for joining.
Hey, Daniel.
I'd love to start off by asking, this is a very chaotic film and really fun. I'd love to know if there's anything chaotic or fun that happened behind the scenes, because it really looked like a blast to work on.
Oh, it truly was. I mean, from my side of things, it was definitely not as chaotic, which is sometimes wonderful. But I think, I was filming and getting new pages constantly because the story was changing on the plane and how things were happening. And, Jim was coming to me and saying, like, can you do this? And like handing me new pages. And I was like, I've got it. I'll be fine. So I think that was pretty chaotic, but I work well under stress. So it's my sweet spot. I think the craziest thing was like shooting on an active runway. Like, we had to go through customs and security and like, I mean, it was crazy. And for anyone who watches to the end of this movie, there was an item that like you very clearly can't take through security. So it was just, it made things very stressful trying to get the shots before the sun comes up. Like it was nuts.
I bet. And I'm used to seeing you much more involved in the action. So was it almost like a welcome break to not be so involved in the action this time?
Oh my gosh. It's the first job I've ever done where I didn't come home with bruises. It was great.
Yeah, for sure. I do wish we had seen a little bit more of your character because I really loved her banter, especially with Josh Hartnett, but just with many of the characters. So, at the end, it's a little open-ended, potentially a sequel. If there was a sequel, what would you love to be more involved in, or what would you like to do more with this character?
Well, I mean, you're preaching to the choir here because I've been pitching that from day one. I feel like these characters have so much history, and she's even more angry now. And now she's got nothing to lose. And in my mind, Catherine would be going after him, and there would be a lot of action.
That would be pretty cool. I would love that as well. And regarding the action, maybe in the next one, what would you like it to be action wise? Would you like it to just be you trying to kill him the whole time, or would it be more of a Mr. and Mrs. Smith where it might actually, you might end up getting together in the end?
I don't know. I like that. I'll have to pitch that to Jim because, like, I do believe that Josh and I would make a fantastic Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Yes.
That are also trying to kill each other the whole time. So you never know.
Yeah, well, they're doing that show on Amazon now. Maybe you just tie in the two of them together.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. You just slide us in there.
For sure, for sure. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time today, and I even if it was short and sweet, but thank you for your wonderful performance, and thanks again for coming on.
Oh, thank you so much.
That was my little chat with Katee. She was really just a pleasure to talk to. I'm hoping they make a sequel, which is a Mr. and Mrs. Smith style film, and I get lots of royalties because I recommended that sequel to her. So we'll see if anything comes from that. But I do want to highly recommend Fight or Flight. It's nothing crazy. It's nothing new under the sun either, but it's a fun action film with the wonderful star of one of last year's best movies, Trap, Josh Hartnett. So
one of last year's best
movie.
movies. Interesting.
Just like Trap, a wonderful film. Had a lot of fun with it. Kind of turned my brain off a bit.
Interesting.
And I know Mason agrees. I know he loves Trap as well. So those are my three recommendations.
Oh God, I've never felt this much pressure in my chest. Okay, well, no, it's fine. It's fine. He's from Canada. You just gotta accept different people, different strokes. That's okay.
For people who haven't listened to our podcast for a long time, there is a running joke on our podcast, and that is about how much Mason hates Trap.
It's such shit.
Really
it's just so bad. Film. Such a terrible
I love
movie.
it. But you know what? I love it even more because of how much he hates it. It just makes me love it even more.
I'm waiting for you to Venmo me my 18 Canadian dollars and 2 hours of time back for making me watch that movie.
No, but you know what? I gave that time to you. That wonderful allotment of time that you got to experience the wonderful weirdness of his Lord M. Night Shyamalan. So yeah, I mean,
God, let's move to the review before I start screaming, please. Goodness gracious.
All right, Mason, we are here today to talk about Warfare. And this is one that had a very limited theater release here in Canada. I was quite sad about it. But I have some thoughts about the film, but I'd love to talk to our resident American first. What are your thoughts on Warfare?
America are my thoughts on Warfare. No, honestly, when I saw this coming out, I was already happy to see it because it was bringing back Alex Garland, who had said just a short time ago that he was done with Hollywood, which I personally felt was a great shame because though some of his movies have been more misses than hits, I do think he's a very accomplished director and writer, and it would be a shame for him to step out of the game so early in his life. Seeing this was a bit of a shock because it's not a movie that is consisting of like massive over-the-top philosophical writing or situations. It is more of a conglomeration of detail and experience that can only really be felt in war. And like many movies like Saving Private Ryan have tried to show us, obviously nothing about war is fun. War is hell, as the generic saying goes. But this is one of the few films to actually hit that mark. I would put Saving Private Ryan there. I would put Warfare there. I might put like We Were Soldiers there. But I mean, you can debate me on that. The main thing that I get away from this is that Alex Garland with his co-director Ray Mendoza, I believe is his name, who was a veteran who was in this very situation that the movie deals with. I think that the painstaking lengths that Garland usually goes to for his writing and sensibility and attention to detail there, he fully put into the experiential nature of this movie, which was very different from what I expected, but also unexpected was how welcome that was, how much I appreciated it. This is a very tight film. This is like a 90-minute film. This is not a big bombastic one, even though it's a war film. This is not one where there's going to be like big swelling music and over grandiose speeches. It's just war. And not to discount the experience, because obviously war has massive implications for everyone and everything involved. But at the end of the day, it is the experience of war itself. And there's not a whole lot of frills around there. There's no like Hollywood magic really seen there, which I didn't think I would appreciate as much as I did. I came into this thinking, okay, like it's a war movie. I'm not really a big war movie guy, but we'll see what happens. And I left it being like, holy shit, I feel like I feel like I almost have stolen valor. Like I feel like I almost went through war watching this movie. And I imagine that's the experience they were trying to sell. I thought it was an absolute triumph. What do you think, Daniel?
Yeah, so I agree with a lot of what you're saying here. I was trying to think what it reminded me of, and it felt very much like, in terms of how it presented war and how it presented a lot of these things, it felt very much like Act of Valor, which is a film that came out in 2012, I think. And the thing about that film is it was made with a bunch of Navy SEALs. It was made with the real people who lived those experiences. And although you're using actors here, you kind of get that real feeling as well, because Ray Mendoza, who is the co-director and co-writer, he lived this experience. And Alex Garland puts his touch on it by, once again have this phenomenal sound design where, like Mason said, you feel like you're there, you feel like you're living in this moment that they're going through. And war is hell. But then this film has probably the most fun opening scene in a film I've seen in many years, if not ever, in terms of I just really, really enjoyed and laughed at the start of this film, which I just didn't expect, but then it immediately cuts to war. And it shows that there are these fleeting moments where there is happiness and there is that brotherhood and that camaraderie, but then once again they have to go through that hell on earth together, hopefully survive and make it through to their next brotherhood moment. And I think this film just did a phenomenal job. They were so realistic. I know a lot of people are debating, is it pro-war, is it anti-war? I don't particularly want to get into that, because I think every film that shows war in its true form is an anti-war film. And I think when you see people getting their legs blown apart and things like that, and it's always why I've kind of agreed that war films need to show what really happens to people, because I think that's the only way you can really show people how bad war is and how not cool and fun it is. I do think films like Dunkirk, where they don't show much violence, but they still show violence, but just not in the same way, do it very brilliantly as well. So I know there's an argument to be had there, but Warfare just does a fantastic job. It really hits all the feelings in terms of it makes you cry, it makes you angry, it makes you happy, it makes you nervous, excited. It just hits all those different emotions that you want to feel in different films. And I think Alex Garland, he's a real treasure in terms of some of the newer directors out there. I totally agree with Mason that I hope he continues to make films. And then, Ray Mendoza, he's a podcaster and a veteran and someone who's really making the most out of his life. And now he's a co-director and co-writer of a Hollywood film. And this kind of reminds me a lot of Black Hawk Down, where there
I can
are a
see
lot
that.
of up and coming actors who come to this war film and each put their little sprinkle on it. And I was really impressed with Will Poulter and with Michael Gandolfini and a bunch of the other actors as well. But I think the actor that really stood out to me was Joseph Quinn. I think he was just, you really feel his pain and you really feel his leadership as well in the film, and he has a presence about him. And this and Thunderbolts makes me a lot more excited for Fantastic Four, because you see how good of an actor he is, and when you see someone of that talent being involved in these different films, it gives you a bit of hope for that as well. So I do have to really kind of give him a special call out. I think he was phenomenal.
So I'm glad you brought up the cast, because that's actually something that I still am struggling a little bit with. I do agree with you on Joseph Quinn's for sure, and nobody here did a bad job. But for the life of me, I just can't wrap my head around the fact that Will Poulter is like a bona fide badass in the film. Something about his baby face sticks with me. And that's, of course, no fault of his. It's definitely just mine. And same with Michael Gandolfini. Great actor. I think he did great in the latest Daredevil show. But just something about his baby face, I can't convince myself to be like, okay, yeah, he's a war guy. He's an army guy. He's a gangster in Daredevil. I can't wrap my head around it. That being said, I will give special shout out to my doppelganger Cosmo Jarvis, who I absolutely loved in Shogun. I thought he did a great job of just being in excruciating pain for 2 hours of the movie. Just like either he's looking down a scope of a gun or he's screaming in overwhelming pain. Very much not relatable, but very much a reasonable reaction to what he's going through. I do think, again, everybody's firing on all cylinders. It's just some I could believe more than others were soldiers.
My girlfriend went to watch the film with me as well, and every time Charles Melton opened his mouth, she was laughing, even though he's being quite serious in the film. So I think when you have, or Noah Centineo, when you have these sort of, I don't know if this is a politically correct term anymore, but chick flick actors in a war movie, and you only know them from romantic comedies or where they're the heart flutter guy, it is hard to take them a little bit seriously. I think I took Charles Melton more seriously than my girlfriend did.
Hey, if Robert Pattinson can do it, then this guy can do it. I believe in the redoing of one's personal image.
Yes, well, Mr. Pattinson is a special breed, but I will agree with you there that it is possible. And I think Charles Melton has started to really prove himself. He's had some phenomenal roles, and I even think he should have been in the Oscars conversation. I think it was 2 years ago for May, December. But I totally agree about Cosmo Jarvis. He's great. And now, it's great to kind of finally connect that image in my brain. He's your doppelganger. I thought the cast, there's probably a few people who are miscast, but it's also just a team of up-and-coming actors who are getting together for their early war movie that people will always be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe he's in this, because I feel like half this cast is going to be ultra famous in 10 years' time. But I loved how snappy it was. There was not a moment to breathe really in this film. As you mentioned, it was 95 minutes long, not a long film. And in terms of the ending, I absolutely loved that after the credits as well. I won't spoil it for people, but I was just immensely impressed with this film, and I didn't expect it going into it. I knew a few things about it, but not much. And like I said, I think one of the most fun openings to a movie ever. And yeah, I don't know why. I just
that really does shock me. Like, of all movies, that's the one that sticks with you. I mean, not to say it's not fun, just I'm shocked that it's that fun for you.
I guess when I went into a war film, I did not expect what happened at the start. And like I said, I will not spoil this for people. People who are in the know will understand why I'm saying that. But I just think it was really well done and kind of a nice caveat to a otherwise quite serious and dark film at times.
Very much so. I mean, it's kind of hard to avoid darkness when you're talking about a war film, especially an Iraq war film. But no, I really think that it hit the high at the beginning, but it then didn't shy away from the very serious darkness of war itself. It was so visceral. It was such an experience. Like, I felt like I was in a 4D theater being bombarded with all the different experiences that were being shown in this movie. I think one thing that I didn't really register until after I left the movie was how there's no music whatsoever. At least no underneath the film music. Like, there's some, in-film music like from the TV and such, but it's just the noise of the surroundings. It's just the noise of people existing, breathing, being around each other, being shot at. But all of that tension that you feel is pure just adrenaline from what's happening.
Yeah.
None of which is amped up by the general Hollywood tools. Nothing against a great film score. I love a great film score. But the fact that they were able to achieve what they did without one is just all the more impressive. So I've really got to give some props to that.
Well, I think what Alec Garland did with his last film with Civil War is just blow me away with the power that sound really has. And obviously there's been other films that have done that as well, but I remember watching Civil War in theaters and being shocked multiple times by just some of the sounds, whether it was guns firing or different things happening because of how well they utilized their sound design and sound mixing. And I think this film learned lessons from that. And especially when a war film is so visceral and you feel like you're there, they've done it well. And I think this is one of those films that does that. In terms of ratings for me, I think this is one of the first movies this year that I give this rating to. And it's a run to the theaters sort of one for me. I know it's barely in theaters now. It's mostly out on VOD. But if you somehow have a theater near you that you can go watch this, I think it's worth watching this on the biggest screen possible. If you have good sound at home, some good speakers, then definitely watch it at home as well. I absolutely love this film, and it's up there with one of my favorite films of the year so far. So that would be my rating, good sir.
I will also give it a go to the theater review, even though sadly you're probably past the point where you can do that by now. That being said, I wouldn't even say biggest screen. I would say go to the biggest speakers you have and keep those right around you so that you can just be bombarded with the experiences being felt in this film. This big screen is great, but I gotta agree with Daniel there earlier where it's all about the sound design here. It really is just something else, which is not something that usually registers for me. But whatever you can do to see it at the best system that you can, I fully recommend.
Yes, if you have a friend who has one of those home theaters, convince them to let you use it for the night.
Indeed, yes. A very handsome friend with a home theater, no doubt.
Indeed. Mason was talking about himself there.
I am in Peru, where you will find me.
I'm coming to America right now to watch it.
Okay, well, I'll be in Peru, but you have fun in America.
Okay, sounds good. So, Mason, thank you once again for joining me for our shorter episode today, but it's been a while since we talked about a film, and I'm glad we could talk about a film that we both really enjoyed together. And as always, I will let you lead us off, because you are the pro at that. I do have to say, people, Mason has another podcast, and I won't mention it because it's very professional, and we are not professional here. But I do have to say, he is quite the podcaster. He kind of puts me to shame a little bit. He's just absolutely professional at it, and that's why he signs off every one of our episodes that we do together. So, Mason, take it away.
I would feel so flattered if not for all the ribbing I got at the beginning about not appreciating Trap, but I will take the compliment on the face and say thank you very much, my good sir. And if this podcast made you want to take a compliment on the face, then maybe leave us a like and subscribe. Leave a comment to let us know what you thought about this episode, and maybe we will talk about what you said in our episode. Probably not, but you never know. Maybe it'll just be that good. But until next time, I've been Mason.
I've been Daniel.
And we'll see you at the movies. Bye, y'all.